What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Moonlight Game Devs, a podcast where game developers share the story behind their latest game and the lessons learned with their fellow developers. Today, I had a chat with the co-founders of Loopowl, a game development and publishing company, as well as Mainleaf, which is a game development outsourcing company. The two companies are working together to create their upcoming titles, Rogue Masters and Fury. They shared a lot of the lessons learned from working in the games industry for a while and from making these upcoming titles. So I hope that you guys learn from and enjoy the episode. Hey, yo, what's good, everyone? Thanks for coming on to the show. How about we just have everyone give a brief introduction of themselves and their respective roles in the company.
All right, I guess I'll get started. I'm Matt I'm co-founder of Loopowl. I'm more on the day-to-day operation. I do a lot of super managing and a bit of PR as well. I'm managing all the social accounts and doing most of the marketing right now. But we're all equals at Loopowl, so I'll let JeeDee introduce himself as well.
Yep. So I'm JeeDee, Jen Daniel Tangoy. So we just settled for JeeDee because otherwise it's too confusing. I'm co-founder with Matt as well. Well, my main role is mostly like injecting money in the company and just overseeing, really the high level stuff. So we founded this year. I had a game company before, but this is like my second attempt, and I rely mostly on Matt, to manage everything while I'm, overseeing the finances.
Oh, my name is Moises Silveira, but you can call me Moses. I guess it's simpler. And I've been running an outsourced uni game development studio named Mainleaf for about 10 years. And GD and Math, the Loopowl guys, are clients of my company. And that's how we met and started working together.
Awesome, guys. So yeah, I just want to get an idea of how you guys got started in this industry. Like, I know that you, Matt, are running the publishing side, so maybe you can get us started with can you tell us how you kind of build up your company and how you got into publishing games?
Actually, that's a good story because at first we did not intend to go full on publishing, and it kind of rolled all down with our association with Mainleaf because they had a game to publish. Maybe JeeDee would like to continue, and that he's been handling most of that.
Yeah. So basically, what I wanted this year when we started Lupo is just, I had a couple of ideas for the last years, and I wanted to get one built. So I talked with Matt. We could set up, a team to start building that. And through, our relationship with Moses' company, mainly, we found out that they had like a really cool app. Sorry, not app, but game in development called Rogue Masters. And that some funding was necessary to, make it to the finish line. And that's where we realized that, beside making our own game, we could help other people like work on theirs and reach the finish line as well. So that's how we got into publishing, kind of by accident, and we kind of got addicted to it. Just like helping people out. So here we are now, just game company / publisher.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I guess Moses, you're the guy who's also working on the game and kind of as the outsourcing and helping GD develop his game. Is that kind of how the dynamic between you guys works there?
Yes, exactly. I started to help on their project because the developers assigned to Fury they were having some difficulties there, and as I'm the CTO of Mainleaf and I have more experience, I started to give some hand to the guys there, and then things were so fluid and so nice to work together. Then we decided to keep me working on the project kind of full time, and at the same time part of the time helping on Rug Masters as well, but more in a managing and as a producer, not involved directly in the programming side, as we have a team there that's pretty much multi-talent for all areas we need so far. So that's kind of how it works now.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so I guess who's the best person to kind of tell me the background story of Rogue Masters, how it got started and how kind of did the game idea begin to evolve?
I guess that would be me, because our relationship is kind of recent. JeeDee, Matt, and I, we started to work together about 6 months ago, guys, more or less, or
like end of February or beginning of March, if I'm correct.
yeah. So the Rogue Masters idea, it has been have been working on that like for about 3 years. It started basically as a one day. Gabriel Gabriel is one of my business partners on Mainleaf. We started to talk about game ideas we ever had and never finished it because we're both like we have this company that makes like games for other people, but we never publish it like our dream game or something like that by ourselves. And then we decided to brainstorm about game ideas we had, and then we come to this idea of Rogue Masters that at the beginning would be something more a city management with dungeon exploring, something along like the Darkest Dungeon or Moonlighter. But after some time, we decided to focus on the combat, and then we end up by selecting this Souls-like combat to be the system we are using because of the mainly because of the mastery aspect of Souls-like combat, where you can play Dark Souls in several different levels of skill, but you are always rewarding by getting better on it. So we decided to focus on the combat. And well, basically after several years trying several different things for the game, we end up with this idea we have now that is this looter co-op Souls-like combat wave-based game. And well, then we were about like to put the project in a hold because of the whole COVID situation. We weren't certain about how things would be from there. And then we met Loopowl guys, and it was like love at first sight. So it was kind of basically that.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about kind of that love at first sight experience. Like, what was it about Loopowl that made them the perfect partners for this kind of project and this game?
I think the chemistry it happens like in a daily basis, like the way we conduct the both companies conduct their business. For instance, when I saw like the developers we assigned to their project, they were struggling with the game because it has some really complex aspects to be made. And then I decided to stop all other stuff that I was working, and I deep dive on the project to compensate by the wasted time on like I wouldn't say wasted time, but like the guys didn't perform as we intended from the beginning. So I jumped there to help them. And I guess as JeeDee, he can tell this better, but he saw I did the right thing when I saw the problem. And like in the daily situations, we see how people deal with problems that everyone has. And it was more like we became like friends really, really fast. So I guess the answer is the short answer. Usually I speak too much, but the the short answer would be that like the way we handle problems, those situations along the development, it was the main thing for us to become friends and things like that.
Yeah. So I guess Math, I'll ask you the counter question. Like, when you were first, I guess, like, did Moses, did you pitch him the idea, or did you go through the whole pitching process of like, you had a pitch deck or something like that?
It was kind of the opposite, because I was just talking with JeeDee without any intention of just saying, okay, I have been working on this game, but I'm putting this on pause. I will move all the team to my main company, so I will be sure they have jobs if I cannot like pay for the development anymore. And then he started to ask more about the game, and that's how it happened. Then we pitched the game for him, and then they showed this interest, and it was a matter of about like 1 week discussing terms and things like that, and we signed the contract.
Yeah, really interesting. Like, I want to know kind of also the publishing side. Like, usually I speak to developers, but I really want to kind of get into the mindset of like, seeing that game that you find really interesting and want to kind of fund, want to support. What does that game look like, and what are some of the, KPIs is what some people say, like indicators, key performance indicators of a game that make it kind of show that it has potential and has success. I would really like to know that.
From a publisher's side.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Well, first of all, for Loopowl, we're trying something like we're branding ourselves as releasing really unique games. We want to take games and push them to their limits. Maybe may it be through arts or mechanics or new systems. Like we really want to like push the boundaries of what's been done so far in games or genres, things like that. So, well, when they first showed us Rogue Masters, I think, well, it was love at first sight for this because it makes like all of those Dark Souls mechanics, like the super hardcore combat and difficulty level that's brought in through the game itself and the game design, but it was mixed with low poly graphics that were really standing out. And well, just seeing that, we knew we had a couple good ideas that could really just push it a little bit. And well, with good discussions with the guys, we all agreed on some really cool basis and terms. And just like that, we knew we had a good product with them because most of the game was already done. They already had all visuals done and a good part of the basic mechanics done. So it was just a matter of adding a couple of little things here and there. And we already had something super marketable and just a really cool, fun, and innovative product.
Are you guys also looking to support, games that are maybe a bit less of a finished product than what Moises showed you guys, presumably?
Yeah, for sure. I think one of our goal is actually that. As I was saying earlier, our goal is to really push the boundaries of game. So if we see either a game or a dev or a product that has a title and creation, and we just know like it needs just maybe funding or a good help in marketing as well, or just some things like that, we can help them because that's a goal. We just want to release like some fresh new content on the market. So if someone is in early development, but we see that there is potential in creating something a completely unique experience, well, we would for sure go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about, you guys mentioned there that you kind of started developing the game next to, I guess, your kind of consulting work and supporting other companies. Like, can you maybe give us some idea of like how you guys balance that? Like, I think a lot of people are kind of doing the same thing where they maybe already have a company, they want to make their own product as well, so they aren't always stuck in this loop of spending, using their time to make money. But also there's people with like full-time jobs balancing that work with making a product. So how did you guys kind of approach that? Like, how did you divide up the work between your client work and the actual development?
I don't know if I'm the best person to answer this question because it takes like 10 years for me to to be able to manage that. But maybe I can tell like the why I didn't start to develop this game before, and it was mainly because of financial terms. For instance, like because I develop games to other people for 10 years, I know the game will cost way more than it's intended in the beginning. So it's really hard to start to developing a game. I mean, of course, you can code everything yourself, and I see a lot of people that are doing that, like in people that you interviewed here. But as I on Mainleaf used to work like 60, 70, 80 hours per week sometimes, I didn't have this time. So I had to hire someone to code the ideas for me, to create the graphics and everything. And we felt secure to do that. Like after 10 years of company, that we had like the cash flow to do that, and but even with that, situations like COVID can happen, and
Yeah.
then we we are everything that we take for granted is not granted anymore. So that's the thing. Like game development can get really expensive, and if you start as we started without a solid plan and without a solid game concept, it can get out of hand really quick.
Yeah, that's thanks for sharing those insights. I think that's, really valuable for sure. Maybe from what you've kind of mentioned there, sort of, some of the challenges coming up with time scope and balancing and having a good plan of how long things are going to take and how much you need to, allocate in funds to those different areas. Like, what one of the main things that you've kind of learned through your experiences? Like, what are some of the things that games company founders often get wrong? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe I can answer that, Mark, if you don't mind. So I had a game company in 2011, a mobile game company that was fairly successful, and we had the same challenges back then as right now. In terms of funding, we tried to be organized and make good roadmaps and everything. But it's games are such a complex medium to build that it's really really hard to really plan the budget and plan the timeline and everything. We see it even with AAA, where there are like several delays for many big titles, and even if indie game like ours is it's really smaller, it's still hard to really plan out. So when you start investing, like I do in a game company, you really have to plan that your first investment might not be your last investment in terms of just being fluid and maybe adapting as we go. Just with Fury, we're on our third extent, to the roadmap, and we don't know where we'll be at the end of that. And it's just because it's, like I said, it's a complex medium. I've been freelancing in apps for maybe 20 years, and apps, while they're complex, I find it's way easier to plan than games. So when you're building games, you really appreciate like how everybody does their best to plan ahead, and so that you can set up a budget, but you really have to stay agile throughout the whole process.
Yeah, I guess with games, it's kind of always two things. It's either a problem or a genius idea. So you're at this point where you're already done with all of this stuff. You're on the verge of finishing something, and then someone just pops out and it's a great idea. You just gotta get it in, so it takes more time. Or on the other side, it's a problem and you gotta fix it, and it just takes way longer than you thought of.
Yeah, I agree. And they say 20% of the game. So the last 20% of your game is going to take 80% of your time. So like you can complete the first 80% of your game really quickly, but then the last 20 is super long. And experience after experience, that's what I find is that it's you get a lot of progress really quick, and once you get into the polishing phase and tweaking everything and making sure it feels good, it looks good, that's what takes the most time. So it's a big endeavor once you get started.
You've mentioned there that you've been working on and owned your own like mobile games company. What can you explain like a little bit about like difference between, I guess, mobile and now working on like a premium indie game, and what kind of made you take the switch there from one to the other?
Yeah, so when I worked on mobile, it was maybe 2010, 2011. So it was quite different than right now. I find that it's really, really hard to get into the mobile market because there are so many players and like a lot of money is being invested. Most of the time, the marketing budget is 4 times bigger than the development budget because that's how you succeed. Back then, when I had my gaming company, I had it for 2 years. It was called Molecube, and I'd say the first year and a half was a real disaster because we would release games, which in my own opinion, but that it's worth what it's worth, were really good. And like we had abysmal sales because we had no money for marketing. We were on a shoestring budget.
Yeah.
And then we decided to, join forces with a YouTube channel, Epic Mealtime back then, which was really, really popular, like in the top 5 YouTube, and that's where the sales really exploded. But after that big, big success, I just decided it was time to close the studio because it was really a big struggle, and we realized that it was a really we were lucky to have a big title that sold a lot of copies. We're talking about millions of copies, so we didn't want to take that chance. Sorry again. So I find that on mobile the play is mostly marketing, obviously, on AAA or indie or desktop games, it's still a bit of marketing, but people appreciate more the quality of the game. Whereas mobile, they appreciate it as well, but there's so much noise that it's hard to to find the good games. And when you see a good game at $5 and then you see 100 games that are free, and then it's really hard to break through unless you got a killer partnership or, like I said, a ton of marketing money.
Yeah, totally. I see it the same way. Like, you to really succeed in mobile, I think you need either a really wealthy publisher or a lot of investment money, get a company off the ground, or even have a chance. Because obviously, when you have the choice between a free game or a premium game, like the games on Steam and such, it's obvious for most consumers that are also mobile, like have a little bit more of a casual mindset. They're gonna choose a free game, even if they end up spending like 100 quid in Clash of Clans. You also mentioned there that you're working on Loopow's other game, Fury. Is that right?
I had the initial idea for Fury, but yeah, Moses and his team are the ones working on it. So depending on the follow up question, we'll find out which who of us is the best to answer.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that while we're on this call, maybe you guys can, or whoever is just like going to be able to answer this question better, just give us like a little bit of an overview of that game as well, and kind of how it evolved and got started.
Oh yeah, so I guess that would be me. So just to make a long story short, the idea for Fury, because what you got to understand is, like I said, I've been working, freelancing, building apps and games for 20 years. The reason I picked up programming 20 years ago is to start building games. But in 2000, there wasn't a lot of programmers, so getting work was easy. So I kind of fell into work building apps for other people. But now and then I will always go back to my initial goal, which was building games. And in 2003 or four, I found the game Madness Interactive, which is a Flash game, and really blew my mind because the control scheme was different. It was very different from what you could play, and it always stuck with me that someday I would like to build one that's up that's using the latest technology, so like inverse kinematics and proper physics, because obviously in 2004 Flash physics weren't a thing. So yeah, so I always went back to it, and over the years, I built maybe, I don't know, 10 versions of Fury that I never finished because work would always come back and take up all of my time. So yeah, this year I told Matt, because the last 2 years have been pretty good for me in terms of freelancing revenue. I told Matt, like, now it has to happen because it's kind of on my bucket list. So I gave Matt the reference, the original game, some other inspiration. I said we got to build a game strongly inspired by that one, but with today's standard of graphics and technology. And that's where Matt set up a little team, and that's where we met Mainleaf and Moses.
Yeah. I guess like you guys are both like at least the two developers seem like really experienced guys. You guys have a lot of experience in the industry. So, what kind of technologies do you guys use to make your games? Like, which approaches did you take there? Unity or Unreal, kind of like which and why?
We are using Uni because it's the main expertise of my company. We choose Uni back then, 2010, and we stick with Uni like since 2010. So we do develop when it's needed using another platforms. Like, for instance, we already developed with PlayFab, some things with Unreal itself, but we are mainly using Uni for all development we do in Mainleaf, and it's not different with Rogue Masters and Fury. I don't know if you have any any questions. I guess I talked too much to just say Uni.
Yeah, well, maybe it might be interesting to add on Fury that we're using both the Final IQ and Puppet Master. So maybe either G or Moises, you want to add on a bit on that? But yeah, it's super interesting how we just add up physics to this game and add more realism in the movement like that.
Yeah, I would totally love to find out more about that if you guys could go into detail, because I think I've not heard of those technologies. So.
All right. Yeah. So no, I just wanted to say that I mentioned previously that I've been wanting to build Fury for a very long time, and a different style like 2D, like 2D cartoony stuff like that. And when I really, when it really clicked and I realized that we had a chance to build maybe what I had in mind, is when I saw some demo videos of Final IK and Puppet Master, sorry. So basically, it just makes really realistic ragdolls where the outcome of the physics can surprise you. So, like if, for instance, you run into a door frame, you'll fall on your back instead of just having a standard collision and things like that. So, what I really wanted for Fury since the beginning is something really fluid where the gameplay can even surprise us as developers. So animation are not all baked and pre-made and everything. And I felt that it was really necessary. So when I stumbled upon these two tools, that's when I really kicked it into high gear and realized that we could build what I had in mind, which made obviously Unity the first choice for the engine because they are Unity assets. So yeah, and then I built a really quick tech demo, and 2 years later, when we met the guys at Mainleaf, we started building the real game using these very tools.
Awesome, really interesting. Yeah. How does you guys like? I want to talk a little bit about kind of how you guys manage your companies. Like, maybe you could give us a bit of an insight into kind of the production of a game. Like, how do you go about managing the kind of process that you guys do? Do you use some kind of management software, something like that, to make sure you're always on tracking on time?
Sure, yeah. we definitely use Scrum, and for that, we use it to. We tested several different tools like Trello, Jira. Some were under, and some are over our necessities. So we end up by using GitLab now to both to host the code and also the task management there. And for all projects, we use it to have like daily meetings, like all the Scrum process. And because we are working mainly at more or less 10 projects simultaneously, and this is really hard to manage if you don't have some strict systems to help to manage people. So that's more or less what we use there. We are applying the same things on Fury as well, as Fury is Loopowl is a client of Mainleaf with this project Fury, and yeah, that's more or less what we use.
How do you guys like, approach the kind of art style creation as well? Like, maybe you can give us like an insight into how the team is like divided. Like, how many artists are there? How many programmers? And
Well, depending on the project, we can have sometimes a very simple project that uses pre-made assets from Asset Store, like just one programmer and one manager, or some projects that are really bigger, like sometimes we have like 3, 4 programmers, one artist, one game designer, because not all projects we are working at the same time. They are all games. Some are like service software as a service, and some like VR applications for medicine, things like that. So it really depends. But I would say today, mainly, we have more or less 40 people, more or less, and about like 5 then are managers, and I would say 90% developers and like 10% artists. So we were mainly focused on the development side, on programming.
Yeah, and if you want to add up a bit on here on Loopowl, it's for sure we're a bit of a smaller team. So yeah, we only got 2 guys on art. We've got D, the other co-founder of the company. Well, this guy is pretty much our visual wizard, and he's just looking at everything. And we've got also Phil that deserves huge shout out because that guy does eye candies and just like he makes things look good. And yeah, we got these guys working pretty much like we're getting modeled all of the most important parts, so like our main character, enemies, and stuff like that. And as we're trying as much as we can to get assets for the rest because it's pretty expensive just to get modeling everything. So we're trying to make do with what we have.
yeah, so kind of like cutting corners, I guess, by using some proprietary stuff, but then getting custom made things to stitch it together and give it that unique look. Is that like safe to say? Kind of.
Yeah, exactly. We're keeping like the budget for very important stuff. Well, I wouldn't say keeping the budget, but yeah, we're investing more in the most important stuff, what you're going to see every second of your game time. So just as I said, things like the main character, we think it deserves to be properly done and properly like unique to this game. Well, maybe the wall in the background doesn't need as much attention.
Yeah.
We did basically the same on Rogue Masters as well. When Gabriel, my business partner, and we started like working on this project and funding it, we decided to cut costs on art because it was something that we neither of us was good enough to make if it's needed. For instance, I am a developer as well, but so anytime I can help jump in the project and help to fix something. But for the art, no people. We didn't have anyone at the moment to do that. So we started the game with like some pre-made assets from Asset Store, and now we have like some people to create some assets, some custom-made assets like enemies and things to make the game um, to be more unique. Even we are using like pre-made assets for a lot of stuff for the 3D models mainly.
Is this for Rogue Masters or Fury?
For Rogue Masters.
Right. You mentioned there that you're investing kind of in the important stuff or like the main stuff that people will focus on. But I guess as the publisher, like, are you guys also doing some other services as funding? I guess this is a question for you, Matt. Like, are you guys doing some of the marketing as well for the two games?
Yeah, absolutely. We're trying to handle as much as possible, and right now, well, as we're a startup and we don't have as much attention as we would have if we were already established, we're doing both game under the same banner. But eventually, for sure, we would split up that, and well, each game get its own merit and credit for its own marketing, for sure. But yeah, we're handling that part. Right now, we're kind of in this awkward spot that we're just on the verge of getting some good content to show out, but we're not there yet. So we're trying to get some like more organic growth. We're mostly active on Twitter right now, where we talk a lot with other devs. We got involved in this super awesome movement that is the hashtag Pitch a Game. If well, I think if any indie developers are out there listening to this, they should check it out because once per month you get to pitch your game on Twitter, and well, it gets seen by a lot of publishers, scouters, funders, etc. And there's also critiques on the pitch, and it's super interesting. And I think we're getting some growth there, as just as much as we're helping out other devs. So we're super happy with that, and that's how we're doing right now. But eventually, for sure, we're going to get our own content out, and that's going to be pretty soon as well. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing that. I also noticed that hashtag trending a little bit, and it's like there's a lot of pretty cool stuff out there. So I definitely recommend any game developers checking it out. So I kind of want to, have like a wrap up section where each of you guys kind of shares their learnings from the two projects that you guys have been kind of working on together. So yeah, how about we just kind of get started? Let's start with Matt, just sharing the your learnings from this journey of starting your publishing company and how it's been so far.
Wow, well, there's a lot of learning. I guess I'm in the company. I'm like the noob. I'm the one who's got less experience, so I got the occasion to learn a lot from all of these guys I'm talking with day to day. So may it just as well be JeeDee or D, our other co-founder, or even Moises and the rest of the team, both from Mainleaf and Rogue Masters. But yeah, I think there's a lot to learn, both on marketing and just as well as internal relationships, should I say? Like right now, handling, like speaking with Mainleaf themselves, it was pretty easy because they were our employees, should we say? We were outsourcing like our own game, but with Rogue Masters, I'm trying to be a bit more involved with the team as well. We have these weekly meetings where they just explain out their stuff, and it's been a bit of adaptation at first because well, it's kind of strange for them. They were like the small team, and suddenly we're just here and we're taking some space and not necessarily like game design and stuff, but we're there where we were not before. So it's kind of weird. So I think most of what we learned has been like how to handle this whole relationship and get along with others, and just make sure that we're not seen as like people here to take over the game. We're there to help, and we're just trying to make all games as much as as fun as possible, should I say. We just want to make good games, and I think that's been the most like the biggest learning curve up there.
Yeah, Moses, maybe you have something to talk about, like getting started with things you've learned from making Rogue Masters and working on Fury.
So about making Rogue Masters, I can say for sure that the most important lesson I learned it was to have a better scope of the game. Rogue Masters along these 3 years, it like had several different ideas and mechanics. Like the game started as a Souls-like kind of story mode, and then we went um, to battle royale, then to survival, like several crazy ideas that we start to have when we start to brainstorm, and then until like we get the final version that is what the game we are creating right now, we would save way a lot of time and money if we had this this idea we have now from the beginning. But of course, I guess several like creative processes are like this. Like it's kind of impossible to skip steps on this, but I would say to plan better, like your scope, given the size of your team and your resources. This is a pretty lesson I learned on Rogue Masters. And on Fury, I would say that this is a lesson that I already knew, but it still reinforces for me is to do the right thing when something happened. For instance, as I told you, like the guys that I assigned to Fury at the beginning, they wasn't performing very well. So even I am the CTO of Mainleaf. Usually I don't code anymore, like full time. But when I see the guys didn't perform very well there, I talked with JeeDee. I explained the situation here. The code has not like a very good quality. I will remake this for you. I will not charge this. And so I think it was things that he saw we were honest company, and he probably felt more secure to invest in our game. So I didn't do that because of Rogue Masters, but it was a huge plus of being correct. In my main business, it was like very good for my secondary business. That's my game. So I think it's just like do the right thing, be correct with people, like both in your personal life and in your professional life. It's always better.
Kind of putting the the needs of the customer first, and really focusing that they're getting a good value.
Yes, exactly.
Finally, I guess JeeDee, do you have any reflections that you want to share?
Yeah, for sure. So you gotta keep in mind that I'm, eye level, so I don't work on the day to day. But through my very long journey of working with people, starting companies, managing people, the biggest lesson which I'm still learning right now is, if you're the person like calling the shots, you should surround yourself with people you trust and let them call the shot. So just find people that you completely trust and they'll do the right thing, and not try to be a control freak, because then you do four things so instead of doing one thing well. So I just focus on finding people of trust and then letting them take the hard decisions, which is just letting go in general. And so far, with Matt, who's pretty new, as you mentioned earlier, who I've just been dumping tasks on him. Learn the finances, learn the marketing, learn to game design, learn to manage a team, and then Moises, where I just came to him with this big stupid project where it's like, yeah, we gotta have really complicated stuff, but then we also need to do it on a small budget, but we also need it to look good. So I mean, I'm lucky that I found the right people to do so. And I gotta keep in mind that even if there are some areas where I could take care of it, I wouldn't be able to do it as well. So through this journey, just letting go and picking the right people to surround you is really, I think, the key to building a successful company.
there's actually a few questions that I have because I find that what you just said there like really important and also really interesting. Is it kind of like you mentioned there that you were teaching, teaching Matt like a lot of different things and kind of helping him work things out? Is your focus to kind of find people that are willing to do that, like wear multiple hats and learn a lot, or is it kind of you're hoping to that you're already finding someone who already is that person that you can just trust to do a certain task?
I've made the mistake, several times the mistake in the past, find someone who could do the task. And, in the long run, you need to work with these people, you need to talk with them, you need to, set up, certain tasks. And you just find out that if they're doing it for the work, sometimes there will be some, maybe ideology differences and things like that. So I'd rather have someone who's super motivated and ready to work on, pretty much anything and learn everything and just work from there because I work with, of course, specialized people. Like Matt said, D is a fantastic illustrator, but we also get we get each other on a friendship level. But I mostly aim for people who are mostly attitude, because that's what you're going to have to live with afterwards once you start working with them. And learning is just part of the process, and when they start from scratch, then they're more eager to learn, and as they go, they're more eager to change their way or learn new stuff. So that's really important because, as you know, things like techniques and project management way of doing changes really fast. So you're going to find people who are very agile.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in, I guess, the games industry, which is changing a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing all that valuable information, guys. What is like the best way to contact you guys? What kind of places should people check out if they want to find out more about Fury and Rogue Masters?
Well, right now we've got it all available on our website, so just head up to Loopowl.com. It's pretty easy like that, but we're also super active on Twitter as well. We're gonna get our Discord. Well, we've got it pretty much set it up already, but we don't have much content, as I said earlier. So we're just holding a bit on that, but we're gonna be available on Discord and Reddit pretty soon as well. But right now, the very best way to contact us or just learn more about us would be heading up to our website, loopowl.com. And from there are pretty much links to everywhere else we can be contacted. We've got our email address. We've got a submission button for any indie games out there that want to get at least seen by us. So head out to our website.
Awesome.
You can as well to contact Mainleaf on mainleaf.com as well. So we have this outsourced development company, and we can help like in different sizes of projects. Or for instance, just our programming, coding, or the full game development. So if you have a game that you would like to develop, but you don't have the time to do it or part of it, we can contact us, and we have several different talented people for all areas.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys, for coming on, and good luck with the upcoming projects.
Thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing or leaving a review. And if you want to get more game development content, head down to the website, moonlightgamedevs.com. Consider subscribing to our newsletter or joining this discussion on Discord. Thanks, and I'll catch you for the next episode.